Welcome back to the Sports Lounge. I'm Nathan Stacken. We broke down the East region. Now it's time to look at the West, where Duke is the #1 seed. They will be taking on Hampton from the MEAC. And then, well, as you can see here, we have the bracket. We have a graphic for you, giving you all the list of the games. And again, just as we broke down in the East region, give me a couple teams or a couple games that stand out to you.
You got San Diego State there as a 2. You got Temple and Penn State 7-10. But the matchup everybody's talking about is that Oakland-Texas matchup. Everybody's high on Oakland with Benson and Hamilton. And
well, you can't say everyone. I mean,
I
there's
think
a fair
a lot
amount
of people, yeah.
that actually have Texas in the Final Four.
Really?
Yep.
I think it's one of those things where, you know, we've seen Oakland now.
We've seen them more here, the four of us,
right,
than these guys have in person.
And I kind of have this feeling that either Oakland beats Texas or Texas is going to the Final Four. You know, that kind of deal where, you know, they're either going to get knocked out right away or they're going to be in the Final Four. But it's hard to say. You don't know how Oakland's going to play. The image that sticks with me from last night is everybody's cheering for Oakland and Campy's just sitting there, kind of like, we drew Texas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that matchup.
No, I think Oakland, I think they were actually a little better than a 13 seed.
Oh, yeah.
Yet everybody's talking about, all the analysts are like, well, look out for Oakland. Well, if that's the case, why didn't they get the higher seed?
Yeah.
But there's really not any matchups first round other than that matchup that really stick out to me.
So you don't think that, I don't know, Michigan-Tennessee is a good, I mean, that's an 8-9 matchup.
Because they got Duke in the next round, so it's kind of, you know, whatever.
I think the winner of that game gives Duke a game. I don't think Duke loses, but I think it'll be a good game.
Well, Tennessee's getting kind of hot, too. I mean,
and Bruce Pearl with the orange blazer, anything could happen.
Are we sure he's going to wear the orange blazer, though?
He may get suspended before that game again. Really might find something else on him.
How about UConn in their fantastic run in the Big East tournament?
Yeah.
First team ever in conference tournament play to win 5 games to win the conference tournament. And now it could be a double-edged sword. Is UConn going to be tired in their first game and lose, or will this give them the momentum to go deep into the tournament, maybe lead 8, Final Four? Who knows? Maybe win it all. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot to ask. 5 games in 5 days, and they come out here and they possibly play Cincinnati, a Big East opponent in that second round. I think that's an interesting matchup, Cincinnati and Missouri. Kind of flip a coin on that. But yeah, UConn, I think they could reach the Elite 8. It's not an extremely tough part of their bracket, but they got SDSU possibly, the other SDSU. So, I mean, it's really, I think they're good enough, but I don't know if that wear and tear is going to show or not.
I'm skeptical because Syracuse a couple years ago won 4 games in 4 days, and then they get bounced in the first round by, I think it was Vermont. And now, you know, but they've got Kemba Walker, they've got some pretty good tools there, and I have them making a pretty big run in the tournament. And, you know, they've called so much on Kemba Walker this year, and they'll probably do the same come tournament.
And I think that's where a lot of people are. It's either they have them losing right away or they have them making a deep run. Where do you have UConn going, Blake?
I have them losing in the Sweet 16 to SDSU, but I mean, I think it does give them confidence. I mean, you know, obviously if you're going to win 5 games in 5 days, but I think it will take a toll. I don't think, you know, I think eventually it'll run out. I mean, that's just a lot of games to play in a short amount of time.
You could make the argument that winning the Big East is tougher than winning, you know,
absolutely
going to the Final Four, even, you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's handicap Duke's chances now of making it to the Final Four. Anyone stand out to you that'll give them a run?
Not really. I mean, people are high on Texas, and, you know, they got Arizona in the second round possibly, but there's not really a team out there besides Connecticut that I think could give Duke a game.
You guys were all high on Washington. I think Arizona is the team that could come up and maybe beat them in the Sweet 16.
Very true.
I don't see it happening, but they're that kind of team where they got Derek Williams, and he's certainly a dynamic player, and I think Arizona could do it.
You know, I'm looking at my bracket. We got possibly Tennessee in the second round for Duke, and then Arizona or Texas. Those are both pretty tough games. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess, you know, as we're looking at that, that's, you know, it's a pretty tough path. And then you could either get, you know, UConn, SDSU at the bottom. That's a tough route for Duke. So, I mean, to see them slip up, I wouldn't be shocked because I don't think they're a real dominant team.
If Duke plays defense like they played against Carolina in the championship game, I think they're a Final Four team for sure.
And in that ACC tournament, they didn't set themselves away until they played North Carolina. And really, the defense in that first 4 minutes of the game was unbelievable.
Give me a player that you are most interested in the region.
See how Keith Benson does against some big-time players here.
I'll say Taylor Battle for Penn State. I think he's kind of he's their X factor, and I don't see.
He was the difference in them making the tournament this year. He's the reason why Penn State's in it.
And we've seen what he can do against Big Ten competition, and I think he could be their key. He has to be their key if they're going to advance.
I'm going to go with Kemba Walker. Like I said, Harrison Barnes has to carry North Carolina. Kemba Walker has to carry UConn if they're going to really go that far.
How about Kawhi Leonard? Isn't that how you say it? Kawhi Leonard? Whatever. From San Diego State. He is the difference maker on that team. He's only a sophomore, but they only lost to BYU twice. That was when BYU was at full strength, but they crushed them in the Mountain West Championship game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying San Diego State has a good chance of really.
But they've never won a tournament game, ever.
That's going to be different this year.
How do you go from not winning a game in the tournament to making a run?
Northern Colorado's an upstart. Maybe they don't win this year.
Northern Colorado? Come on.
7 years ago, they were in Division II. Anyway.
They were the doormats of the NCC.
One quick note as we wrap up the West region. Bucknell, a 14 seed. The last time Bucknell was a 14 seed was back in 2005 when they played Kansas. Bucknell won. So UConn fans, be a little skeptical. Watch out for the Bison. But I'm still going to take UConn. That does it for our West region wrap-up. And when we come back, we will be breaking down the Southwest region. Kansas is the 1 seed. Anyone going to stop them? Find out next. You're watching the Sports Lounge. Welcome back to the Sports Lounge. I'm Nathan Stacken. The East and the West regions have been broken down by us, and now it is time to go to the Southwest region, where Kansas is the number 1 seed. They will be taking on Boston University, the winners of the American East tournament. And as we hope you can see the graphic with the breakdown of all the games in the Southwest region. So, as we've done in the East and the West, give me a game or two or a team or two that stands out to you.
I'll defer to Mr. Traxler here.
I will say Vanderbilt's my kind of team to watch. I think they've been upset before in the first round. I think this is their year to kind of make a run. I think they've got the tools in place, and it'll be interesting to see how they meet. I look at that Louisville-Vanderbilt matchup in the 3rd round. I have a feeling that either UConn or Vanderbilt, the finalists in the Big East tournament, one of them is not going to do very well in the tournament, and I think they could be gassed too. Vanderbilt, I think, is a team to watch.
I'm going to kind of stand along the same lines there. I've got Richmond pulling that upset on Vanderbilt in the first round. I think that's a really good game, and that's really about the only one that stands out to me. Be that one there.
I'm looking at Louisville to make a pretty good run, and VCU. I'm picking VCU to win their play-in game, and then to beat Georgetown after Chris Wright went down. I think he's expected back for the tournament. But Georgetown's really struggled. They got knocked out of the Big East tournament really early. And VCU, this is their chance to show that they belong in the tournament if they can pull off a couple wins here.
I picked VCU as well in that playing game. Going back to your point, Marcus, about Vanderbilt, with them having lost to Murray State last year when Vanderbilt was a 4 seed, do you think that helps Vanderbilt in their preparation for Richmond this year to avoid that 12-5 upset?
I think they have to look at, Richmond is probably better than Murray State was last year. So, they're going to get tested in that opening round for them, and I think that's certainly something to look at. Richmond's got terrific guard play, and as they always talk about, guard play is what will carry you in the tournament, and I think Vanderbilt's got that too. I think. Like Blake said, I think that's the game to watch in the first round is Vanderbilt-Richmond.
I actually have that. That is my 12-5 upset. I am going to take Richmond over Vanderbilt here.
Look out for UNLV there. I think they roll Illinois pretty good in that 8-9. Yep. And just look out for Kansas. They disappointed last year, and
I think that Lon Kruger, isn't that his former team, Illinois? Or coach of UNLV will be facing his former team.
There's a weird little coaching thing there with Kansas, UNLV, and Illinois, with Self formerly being at Illinois, and Lon Kruger was at Illinois, and now he's at UNLV, so that's kind of interesting.
You got to think Illinois fans really want to shot at Kansas in the second or in the third round, I guess, if they're
Yes.
calling it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And any one player stick out to you in this region?
Well, without Hummel, I mean, he's not going to play, but he's a factor. As far as they haven't had him all year, but I think he certainly would have made a difference.
Can I take two?
Yeah, take two, yes.
I'll take Jawan Johnson and Etwan Moore for Purdue. I think those two could. I have again Purdue making a pretty decent run in this tournament. I think it's hard to imagine where they would be with Hummel, and I think Purdue is geared up to make a run. I think this is their year to.
Even though they've struggled late
losing to
in the
Iowa,
season,
getting it handed to them by
trounced by
Michigan State.
I think they'll build off that. I really do. I think this is a good chance for them.
It's almost like they were looking ahead towards the NCAA tournament and not really caring all that much about the Big Ten.
But I don't really think
Iowa
they're in
that
a
last
position to do that. Without Hummel, I think they've had those losses. That you lose to Iowa, you lose to Michigan State. I think they'll build off that. I don't know if they were looking ahead, but it's something to look at, I guess.
Blake, you got a player or two?
Chris Singleton for Florida State. Excuse me. Is he injured?
I think he's expected back.
Expected back. I mean, I look at Notre Dame. Kind of there's a lot of different spots where Notre Dame could get tripped up.
Yep.
Florida State, Purdue. I mean, Florida State, they beat Duke. They beat them once or twice this year?
Once.
Just once.
Once, yep.
But I just see, Notre Dame coming in as a 2. I see a lot of spots they could get tripped up there
Well, a
as
lot of people thought Notre Dame should be a number 1 seed. This is their year. They have a lot of seniors
Ben
and juniors on that
Hansbrough
team.
would be
They're
my player.
very good defensively. They can shoot the three well. I sound like Hubert Davis here now, just talking about
You
Notre
be talking
Dame like
about
that.
North Carolina.
I know,
We're
but
in North Carolina colors,
I am, I guess. I don't know. I think Notre Dame can make a run. I have them losing to Purdue. The player for me that I'm going to watch, though, Kenneth Farid, the NCAA leading rebounder at Morehead State. Louisville's not a great rebounding team. So this guy and this guy alone could help carry Morehead State past Louisville. If the game is close, watch out for Kenneth Farid.
Good research.
Thank you. Well, it's not really research, but anyway, besides that, Kansas, do we see them struggling or at all getting to the Final Four? Any bumps in the road?
Well, after last year, I mean, who knows? I mean,
True.
they look like a very good team. They look just as good as they did last year. Their point guard play, they got a young point guard, kind of point guard by committee. That was a strength for them last year, but, I mean, you got the two brothers down low.
Morris brothers, yep.
Yeah.
Marcus and Markeith.
Yeah, I think they're a good shooting team. I think the Morris twins will be the key for them. They got a good high-low action thing with them, and I think Kansas does well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's really not a whole lot else to say about it. I mean, Notre Dame, Purdue, I mean, that's really about their only matchup towards the end, and I, pretty much chalk there with Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk, I guess, right?
Not sure if any TV channels or companies, NBC, ABC, Fox, pull for anyone, but if there was I think NBC, if they had to cheer for a team, it'd be the St. Peter's Peacocks. Just because of the NBC logo. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know if they're going to.
They're kind of my team because Drew and I, we did a thing with the Collegian, and we all kind of adopted a team that isn't very good. Well, St. Peter's makes the tournament. They're kind of my team. They're going to lose to Purdue, but they're my team. So
okay. That was just I don't even know why I said that.
I mean, St. Peter's not a bad team. They won their conference,
They deserve to be there.
They do.
They do.
All right. That does it for our breakdown of the Southwest region. When we return, there's one region left, the Southeast, perhaps the most unpredictable one, where we will see the most upsets. Who will prevail? Who do we think? Find out next. You're watching the Sports Lounge.